So our next session is on the emerging technologies in school education, where we will be discussing about the web support for school textbooks, the relevance of digital in school education, the educational content delivery platforms, and the teaching pedagogy in the digital education. And in this panel discussion, as a moderator, we have with us Dr. Ashok Pandey, and our speakers for this session we have Professor J.S. Rajput and Ms. Monica Malhotra Kandhari. Also joining us as one of our panelists, we have with us Mr. Akhilesh C. Chaturvedi. So before we start with this panel discussion, let us remember all of us are here to learn, to collaborate, and to catalyze change for the betterment of our profession. And now I would be handing over this session to our moderator, Dr. Ashok Pandey.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for inviting us all on the stage to discuss this emerging technologies in school education. I'm here for almost 40-45 minutes, and I'm absolutely impressed by the patience and the concern that all of you have exhibited, all the publishers and perhaps people in the technological industry. As you can see, I have three very distinguished panelists, beginning with Professor Rajput, a very seasoned educationist who has given almost his entire life to the field of education. You will have opportunity to listen to him. I have Monica ji, who comes from your own fraternity, but entrepreneur and educationist. I have had the privilege of interacting with her also, and probably she's also going to throw some insights which will excite you. And of course, I have my very dear friend and practicing school principal, Mr. Akhilesh Chaturvedi, principal of DPS Maruti Kunj. And he will actually be the end user of the technology and all these emerging things that are happening. So he will also bring that different perspective. I am Ashok Pandey. I am hosting this. And my only credentials are that I am a very good friend of your president, Mr. Naveen ji. So Naveen ji, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I will straight away jump into, this emerging technological trends that we are talking about. On one hand, it has the potential to revolutionize education, and including publication. Publication is part of the entire education process. And on the other hand, it throws some concerns also as to how it will pan out. Will it make us so dependent on technology? Will it take us in different directions? How it will happen. So, taking all those in the totality and in its entirety, the three people who have come here to share their experiences, I'll request them first in the first segment of this particular panel discussion to give their opening remarks from their own perspective. And after that, we will engage them in the conversations to bring out certain other things with regard to the topic. So I will request Professor Rajput first. Sir, you take the floor. You set the context also, share your experiences also, and probably caution us also where is technology taking us, and what precautions we have to take while we are taking advantage of it.
Dear friend Pandey ji, Monica ji, Akhilesh ji, I share the feeling with Pandey ji that I am here, and I think I have been here for a couple of times, and again I am here because of the president of your society, Mr. Pandey, Naveen ji. I thank him and all of you for being here. I think I should be a misfit here. What experience I have in publishing? Yes, I was the director of NCERT and had a responsibility. I knew nothing about publishing at that time, but I learned it from my people. And I remember two things that I read. They said, ये किताबें तो साल भर चलती नहीं. तो मैंने पूछा क्या तरीका है? GSM बढ़ाया जाए. मैंने कहा बढ़ा दो. 4 कलर कर दो, ये सब किया. My people told me, अरे बहुत घाटा होगा ये होगा. मैंने कहा नहीं होगा. If the product is good, there will be more takers. One simple thing that I tried, and it worked. I was very happy that even without comprehending things, things can move. They move if you are really keen that they should move. But the point that I should be making here is, in the times when I was in the university, we used to write essays and discuss in seminars what is scientific temper. I think things have changed. Now we should be talking about what is the digital dynamic temper. And you have come to that stage. And in our times, we knew that changes are taking place. Today, you do not know what would be the pace of change. I normally say that 20th century was the century of change, but 21st century, the century of pace of change. And I learned this particular aspect in a gathering of this type when, if you recall, during the year 2000, 2001, there were a lot of discussions on 2K transition. It was a very popular term, 2K transition. So an organization had a conference of 3 days, an All India conference. The title was Education in the Third Millennium. And after 3 days, the valedictory was there. I was also present. Mr. P. Chidambaram was the minister and he came there in the valedictory section. And he said, I see the title Third Millennium. Can you really talk of education in the third millennium? You can't talk about the next 10 years. You don't know what will happen after 15 years. And your title is Third Millennium. That is the situation today, and that is what we have to take note of. Your readers, the children in schools mostly, the teachers, others, have to realize one particular thing. And that is the young children today in schools and universities are going to face a very complex world, a disturbed world. And this has occurred because of certain values that we lost as human beings, or I can say the humanity lost certain values. We are the guilty people in India because we had known those things for much earlier. For example, the man-nature relationship. We now have a large number of books on environmental education, but there is hardly any book which has both the aspects. The traditional knowledge quest, its strength, as well as also the new knowledge. So when you are interacting with authors, the main issue would be, how do you prepare materials? How do they prepare materials? How do they interact with you? How those presentations are made in which the continuity of the process of learning, disseminating knowledge, creating knowledge, utilizing knowledge. All the three aspects are covered. You have different technologies. They will improve with time. We know this. But many other things will happen. For example, when I say it's going to be a very complex and tough world, it's a world that needs a lot of focus on value education. What will happen to value education when the human interactions are on the decline? People are hardly finding time to interact even within the family in their homes or even at the place of work. How shall this be taken into account is a matter of real worry and concern for me. I am worried about it because I have seen, and if I give one example before I finish. When I was young, I was surrounded by people who had been active participants in the freedom struggle. And we could interact with them. When Pandit Nehru used to come to Allahabad University, we could go and meet him. There was hardly 1 or 2 policemen here and there, nobody else was there. Accessible. Things changed. So many distances, we said that distances have been reduced, overcome. But so many distances within the human beings have increased. And technology will definitely contribute in them, and it may not be necessarily a positive contribution. These challenges are to be taken note of while making presentation, producing things. You are the, I would say, the basic persons who are creating a world in which the new generation will find it interesting to get more knowledge, to utilize knowledge properly, and to create knowledge. They should know the traditional knowledge. They should also be willing to be part of creation of new knowledge. This is the objective, and you are part and parcel, a very important part of it, and that is what I would like to do.
Thank you very much, sir. And your perspective has brought to light two new terms that you used. 21st century is about pace of change, not only change, which is very, very important. And of course, we have been talking for the last 75 years for developing scientific temper, but Professor Rajput's suggestion is that it is about developing digital temper. That is, we are in the digital era. And just now we heard Mr. Mittal talking about metadata and things like that. Thank you, sir, for that perspective. Now I'll move to Monica, ma'am. She comes from publication industry. Ma'am, you give your opening remarks. My only prompt to you is that how the industry has changed and how it interfaces with school education. And how do you want schools and publication industry to interact with each other so that schools get the best teaching learning material in this technological era and publishers are able to make contribution to optimize learning.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah. First of all, very good afternoon to, good evening to all of you present here, revered dignitaries, members, friends from publishing fraternity, friends from media. Thank you FIP for putting up such a meaningful forum year after year, and I feel very privileged to be part of the federation. When we talk about technology, I think we all are immersed in technology. We are using technology every second in some or the other way, and so in the field of education we are also using as publishers or as students or as teachers or as schools or as parents of the wards. So entire the ecosystem is using technology in some or the other way. Very interesting data I want to enumerate here. I was speaking the other day also in one of the forums that the world population is 8 billion plus number of people on the Mother Earth. The device connections are 16 billion plus. So that shows the opportunity, the scale which we all can reach. World is our landscape now. It is not just one school, one district, one community, one country. It is the entire world is our landscape. We create content, and at the click of a button, we can make it available to billions and millions of readers across the world. So that is the opportunity we have. It is the exciting time we have in front. And I'm sitting with Professor Rajput. It's an honor with this esteemed forum. He rightly mentioned that the moral values are really, really important in terms of in today's time, and I think there's a world discussion also on how to create those morals and how to embed. We as publishers, just wanting to address when I was addressing my welcome address, that we as publishers are definitely making all those efforts, that whether we are doing some English stories, Hindi stories, regional stories in regional language, or we are doing any kind of activity, we try and build in the moral value system wherever we can introduce. So it's a very welcomed approach and very evolved approach, I must say that, which he just mentioned. And today, if we look at the education space we belong to, I want to congratulate government to give us a very progressive and forward-looking NEP, through which there has been a lot of emphasis on the inculcation of technology into the education system. And the government itself has made a lot of platforms which are like Diksha and Swayam and PM E-Vidya. So these platforms bring in a lot of varied kind of digital resources under one roof, and this increases the outreach to bring in standardization and to build in inclusivity. Yes, I do agree. It does also at one place they are creating digital divide also which we need to address. We as publishers, we have, as I said, lot of opportunity on our hand, whereby we are not just making simple books now. What are we doing? We are putting a layer of technology on top of it, depending upon the age, the subject, even if it is a single student or a particular class or particular kind of consumer behavior we are addressing to. So we have lot of analytics with us now that what kind of content we should generate. So technology does come for help on that. And then thereafter we are firing our content in a much more for more immersive learning and for more in terms of inclusive learning, whereby we put QR codes. We all are putting in our books nowadays. We have web links. Some of us are also doing various applications, and we have lot of platforms which we have created in-house also, whereby we are reaching the schools with our solutions. So in that course we also are vigilant about what kind of solutions which we have to use. We don't have to overkill. We don't have to overuse these tools. If you're talking about students with special needs, we need audiobooks. We need video books. If we are talking to a KG class student, we need more animations, more flowery animations, and more playful kind of content. If you're talking to a student of class 8th, we need more informative, the abstract concepts can be understood better with the use of technology. So, and if we talk about, in the discussion we had previously, it is very important that how the teacher is accepting this change. If he or she is not equipped, is not trained by all of us, because all of us are sharing this responsibility to bring NEP into light, that if we do not train our teachers, the positives of technology are not going to reach the students. And we're doing all this to create the 21st century skills within our students. Content will remain the king in terms of whether we are doing the content on an app or in a book or in a video format or in any format. So that will remain core. We have a lot of responsibility as publishers on our shoulders to create meaningful content, simple, secure, and sustainable solutions which we can bring to the students and hence help to create better students, better community, and better country.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. I think you have brought out some very, very profound points. I will summarize it, if your permission. One is, of course, the books are not books alone. They are extending their value, because you are connecting it with QR code, you are connecting with web and links. So whatever information in a very concise form books are giving, for a discerning reader, you are making that knowledge also accessible. So that is very, very important. It is also driving the learning material to become personalized for the reader. And the third thing that you have, I wish people from schools were here, what you said, that it has to be acceptable to the community which is going to use it, and they should embrace it wholeheartedly. That is very, very important. So I think it is good, at least the representation of schools is here by Mr. Akhilesh Chaturvedi. He will give his opening remarks. He can talk about this also. But in this segment, Akhilesh, you can talk about how this technological transition has, moved in the last 10, 20 years, that you have seen it from so close quarters. Akhilesh.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, my sincere thanks to organizers for giving me the opportunity to share my views. I'm sure right from the morning everybody is listening about the technology. I'm here to share the changes which we have seen in last around 20-25 years, where I come from a school. So when we talk about the school education, which is a very, very important for the children, because that sets the base. And I have seen the education where the education is imparted which is totally the teacher dependent, and I've also seen nowadays which is almost becoming independent. Slowly, slowly the things have been changing. If I talk about the era in 90s, the education was imparted, that was a one-way communication. The teacher used to come and then disseminate a particular information, and the children used to simply learn, and even like those days, whatever the answer which is conveyed by the teacher, the children, they used to write the similar answer in the examination. If there is a discrepancy in the examination, also marks were deducted. I am sure many of you who have been the student must have witnessed these days. And slowly, slowly the things changes. But say like one thing which was very, very important, because those were the initial days when I was teaching, the students were very confident about their teacher. What the teacher has written on the board, that was taken as a perfect. And if there was a discrepancy even in the books, the children used to come and they never say, sir, you have written something wrong. They used to always say, okay, there is something wrong written in the book, we need to check it. But now if I see the today's, whatever is being taught in the class, the first thing, the child goes and just looks for the Google auntie and see the matches, and the very next day if there is a discrepancy, oh, you have taught something wrong. So these are the certain things which the changes that has arisen in last almost the 3 decades. The change in the system, change in the examination pattern also. Like we have seen the days from the floppy, the disk, now the cloud. Right from the chalkboard, the simple, then came to the green board, and nowadays the interactive whiteboard. The content which was initially planned by the teacher, the same was to be delivered in the class. Nowadays everything is ready-made. The teacher even has been changed from teacher to the word facilitator. What you want to convey, everything is ready-made, you simply go to the class. Just, you should be expert in running the devices which have been placed in the classroom. That's a very, very important one. So, these are the certain, and now say like the choice of the parent has also changed. If you remember, earlier the parent tries to put their child in a school by seeing the qualification of the teachers, the facilities available were given the least importance. But nowadays, how big building is, whether all classes are equipped with the interactive boards, the campus has a Wi-Fi. So these kind of changes are there which I have seen as a teacher in these last almost 3 decades, and probably there is a huge change in the way the education needs to be imparted nowadays. I think, sir, that's...
Yeah, fine. I'll come back to you. I think you have brought out, the teacher-centered learning and teaching which has been taking place. It is more learner-centered. Teachers are no more the only or sole repository of knowledge. I don't know, you mean it is good or it is bad. Probably you can clarify it a little later. So those changes are happening. There is no doubt about it. But I'm sure as a practitioner, you have no choice but you have to adapt to new technology. I think that is one thing which is very, very clear. So with this first round, I think a lot of good things have come for the conversation. Please, you also keep some of the questions that you have in mind, probably in the last segment. We will invite a couple of questions from the audience. But now I'll come back to Professor Rajput again. And sir, this time, I will be very pointed and focused in asking you one thing, that large part of your career, you have seen where technology was not a dominant force, which was, let us say, traditional teaching and learning. And in the last couple of decades, you find technology making inroads. So with your experience, I think you can enlighten all of us that what are some of the best things in traditional teaching which are at risk and we should somehow clinch to that? And what are the best things of technology which we must adapt and we should not hesitate to that? That is my question to you, sir.
See, I mentioned it because I am very fond of mentioning it. It is the teacher-taught relationship that brings out the best out of the learner. And this could be missing if there is a reduction in this interaction time. This is my concern and I am worried about it. The second is, well, I have traversed the journey from when I started when we were about 40 crores and now we are about 140 crores. So this, if you talk of Indian education, you cannot ignore this fact. We have, from 18%, we are around 80% illiteracy. There are big achievements, many good things. But, and this you may feel a bit out of the place, but I must mention. I have been with the teachers, preparing things for them. But you know, in 2012, there was a committee on teachers, National Council for Teacher Education. Justice J. S. Verma was the chairperson. And all of you must know what Justice J. S. Verma wrote. He said, 10,000 teacher education institutions are not interested in quality, they are interested only in commerce. They are selling degrees. And this finds a place in the point number 15.2 of the National Education Policy. This is a challenge. Sitting here, I was thinking, this association could become a think tank for what children need. You can give ideas, interact with teachers, interact with learners, and that perhaps could be a very big contribution and that can make a difference. These things, to me, technology as it comes will be accepted. You know, parents who were very worried why their child is using a mobile had to change their outlook when the corona came. They wanted, why are you not with the mobile? We have seen all these changes and they will happen. Several things will happen, no question of preventing them. But only issue is how the teacher is prepared to best utilize them. How we are not ignoring the concerns which are psychological, emotional, and related to various other growing up of the child. For example, the child, we know what are the difficult years when the teacher's role becomes very, very significant. And we have seen the impact of, if there is quality deterioration or inadequacy of teachers, this inadequacy of teacher-taught ratio, it has caused tremendous amount of damage. And these are the things that we should accept technology, but the human factor must never be ignored. And as we say in India, our greatest asset, heritage, are our family relationship. They must be maintained, and towards this you will need literature, you will need training, you will need a lot of attention to be paid at various stages. And an association like this, you know the whole field, you are familiar, you are the experts, and you can really give a lot of guidance to the authors and textbook writers.
Thank you very much, sir. I think very, very important point, the teacher-taught relationship. I think no technology can bring in the emotions, the learner's need of learning or hunger of learning. That is something very, very important. And with what you said, sir, I'm told that many people ask this question, is technology going to replace teachers? What Professor Rajput is suggesting is technology will not replace teacher, it should not replace teacher. But certainly those teachers who do not embrace technology will be replaced by teachers who have embraced technology. That is probably the message, very loud and clear, which Professor Rajput is trying to convey. Thank you very much, sir.
One sentence more. Never before this lifelong learning was more important for the teachers than it is now. Yavat jivet adhyate vipra. We knew the principle, but we did not put it to practice. We used to have a Remington typewriter and it worked for 40 years. Those days are changed. You will be acceptable as a teacher only if you are doing swadhyay, learning and continue to learn.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. So, Monica ji, I come to you. You mentioned a lot about the changes that publication industry is coming. But still, do you feel there are some challenges with the publication industry has to meet? And probably, do you think there should be a mechanism to obtain feedback from the users, the teachers and students, which can enhance the quality of publication substantially?
Why, this is a very important question, and when we talk about what the ecosystem needs, what a student needs, school needs, or a teacher needs, this is not one-off. I think it's an ongoing process with all of us. We are constantly making new products, refreshing our old ones, bases our knowledge which we have gathered throughout the year for the next session. This is ongoing with us. And more so when we have lot of AI tools now, lot of data is available through which we can configure how much to use the technology, digitization and tool, and how much not. In fact, when I was listening to Dr. Rajput, he mentioned that, teacher-taught relationship. It's definitely, I would say, technology is coming to rescue that. Today, if you're talking about, or we have seen all throughout, when we were also studying 40, 45 students in class, minimum of 30 to a teacher. Teacher has to teach, teacher has to make test papers, then they have to check the test papers, then they have to understand where each child's weakness lies and work upon it. Till checking test papers, I think we all teachers were doing. But was there any time for the teacher to reflect each one's learning curve, where it is going, where each child is lacking, and what improvement tools I can provide to that child to better their learning curve? So when I say, when previously, I think 10 years back, there was a discussion when ICT classrooms came into place, there were boards in the classroom and digital. Then also teachers were afraid it has come to replace teachers. Teachers can never be replaced. Books can never be replaced. They will be a primary source of knowledge forever, as far as I can see. These are the tools how effectively we use to fire and get better results. We are talking about learning outcomes today. How do we map the qualitative learning outcomes of each child in the class, and probably teacher is teaching 3 classes? So today, as Kailesh also said, that teacher is a facilitator. There is more time on hand because technology is making the test papers, is checking the test papers, giving them holistic report cards also, as far as I think some evolved publishers are definitely doing it, who are probably invested more into technology as of now today. So there is a lot of time in hand to understand each child, because a lot of work technology is already done. Effective teaching can happen in a better way. Parents now don't ask what are the marks, they ask about the behavioral pattern, everything, when you go to a parent-teacher meet. I think that has become more granular. There have been times where our content has come to rescue, digital content, when teacher is probably, you don't have trained teachers everywhere. I mean, even government is looking for 7.5 lakhs more teachers. So what to talk about private institutions? So sometimes, as even Akhilesh said, we go back and check Google, auntie or uncle, I don't know that.
No,
but
Google was first Baba, now it has become auntie.
I think this is gender equality which is coming in. But what is happening is that Google is also giving varied answers. We have to be very wary about that also. So, yeah, ChatGPT is another, that's another chapter. If we open, then we have to have a separate discussion. So we as publishers are constantly in touch with our end customer, the school, the teacher, and also we go as far as understanding, because most of us have mobile apps. We understand what the child is reading, how much each concept is understood, which are difficult concepts in a particular class or particular age group, what they're finding more abstract, where generally a school, a class, or a particular student is lacking in terms of knowledge. So we can go as granular as that. So our platforms and our content is speaking to each other in terms of delivering that effectively, and also suggesting to each child what they should learn more, what they should practice more to better their learning outcomes.
Yeah.
So that's my base.
Absolutely.
The blended learning is what I think is the future, to have the best
Absolutely.
of both the worlds.
No, thank you very much, ma'am. I'll just back what you said with the research of McKinsey and McKinsey, that the entire time that the teachers spend in a school, a large part goes in administration and managing mundane things. And that happens at the cost of their quality time that they should spend with the children, and also in preparing their teaching learning material. And ma'am, in that study it is said that effective use of technology can free up teachers by 20 to 25% of their time, which can be very effectively utilized in being with the children. So what you have said is absolutely correct. It is backed by research also. So Akhilesh, this audience is very keen to know what are those technological uses which are already very popular in the schools, and what impact it is already making on children and teachers. Can you enumerate 2-3 of them in the short time that we have?
Right, sir. I think most of the good schools, they are using the interactive boards. That's very, very important nowadays. And the best part of the technology, as Monica ji also said, the teaching becomes more effective. Everything, say like, because say there are certain topics which needs 3-dimensional presentation, and when say like if we as a teacher, we are making the diagram on a plain, say maybe the green board, or just we are explaining, we ask the child to imagine. You think this is going to happen. Now, that can be shown. So when the children see the visual, how the process is going on, I'll just put one simple example. It's a rainy season nowadays. If you are standing on a terrace and the wind is blowing, we need to put the umbrella in the backward direction to protect ourselves from the rain. But now it's the same. If somebody is running, holding the umbrella, we need to hold the umbrella in the forward direction to protect from the rain. Now if you look from the child's perspective, now the child will feel that when the wind is blowing, that means the rain is changing its direction. Actually the rain is falling vertically downward, but because of those relative motions. So with those interactive board, it can easily be shown like with the speed of the direction, how the direction of the rain is changing and the direction in which you need to hold the umbrella. Also like this kind of concept. Basic, say like we say, like when you teach biology, the digestion of the food. Now it's very simple, we say like the food is taken and all that things. Now this use of technology, the entire process could be explained step by step. So when the child sees those things, the child is able to retain those for a longer duration. So basically this use of technology, if it is used as a teaching tool, it is more effective for a teacher while teaching, and it is more effective for the student. So both say like the teacher and learner, both gets the benefit. That's one the big advantage. We use a lot of now the virtual reality platforms nowadays. Where say like now what the schools are doing, we say like we invite certain agencies, they come and then they give say like the virtual headphones to these children, and then say like by putting them, they are able to have a feel like they have gone a particular visit. They can be, see like that can be visualized. So that also becomes very important. They are able to see it clearly. Maybe like they can be taken into a jungle, like they can be taken onto the moon. So like those kind of experiences which can only be, say, like initially if they read in the books, they feel like it could be, they need to imagine. Those could be seen. So that has a good impact.
No, very good, very good. Two things that Mr. Akhilesh says. So the interactive board I don't know, your children or grandchildren may be experiencing it in their schools. You know, when we had the blackboard only, the teacher had to inhale a lot of chalk dust. So that is one advantage, I will call it. Second is, something is rubbed off, it will never come back. And teacher wanted to make reference to that, but it is already gone because it is rubbed off. It is available there. And then, of course, what Akhilesh is saying is, a lot of things remained in the realm of being abstract only. You know, if you are very highly imaginative, you can imagine, but there was nothing you can visually realize it. Those things are also possible in the interaction, and more improvement is coming. The virtual reality that is talked about, of course, you know, you can see it in 3 dimensions, you can experience it, you can feel it. So, I mean, the technology has its role, there is no doubt about it. But again, you need a good teacher to guide it, you need a good teacher to make a good learning objective, you need a good teacher to assess it. Those things are very important, and Professor Rajput is a great votary and advocate of this country producing a large pool of quality teachers, and I hope the government and the society is working in that direction. We are coming to the close. If you have any question, can I invite anybody, any question? Very distinguished people are here on the stage. You can ask anything. Don't worry whether it is related to topic or not. Sometimes you should ask questions also. Most of the time, I know in your industry, you have to answer questions, you know. How is your book and how it is better, and how publisher A is better than publisher B. I think these are the answers that you really hunt for, but you can, for a change, ask a question. Anyone?
What exactly
Yeah.
do principals expect from a publisher when this technology comes into discussions?
Okay.
What do you expect that a publisher should come up with?
I think, Akhilesh?
The important one is content. And they should be customized rather. Say like what happens, like the videos which are being fed into this, like those, there are certain content providers nowadays, the language that they use, all teachers may not be friendly to that one. So that's like the language that should be used. That either say like the teacher himself, as I said, Naki, technology is very useful when it is used as a tool. So that's one important thing that I want, that should be the simpler one, and it should match to whatever is written in their books. See, like now what happens sometime, like whatever is being explained through the interactive board and whatever is being written in these NCRT books, so there is a discrepancy. So that's very important, these things. So they need to be made as simpler so that it will be easy to use for the teachers, because that is to be made user friendly also. So in that way, say, probably this is.
But you are from the publisher side.
Interacting with after many principals.
Oh, okay.
from their point of
Yeah,
view.
please.
If I can.
You can share. Yeah, why not? Of course.
So after interacting with a lot of evolved principals like you, of course, as Sir said, content is supreme, and I said content is the king. The simple use of language, I agree. There's the school is also demanding how it can be customizable to a particular student learning curve. What remedial content I can give to the student if the student is not interested in one subject or not improving in a subject, that they also are asking for. Affordability is a very big point of view. After doing all these exercises, you have adaptive tests, you have personalized learning, immersive experience, inclusive learning, you have simple language, you have made a solution very easy to use, you have trained the teachers, you have the bandwidth of training the teachers very well. After sales is very strong. Our sales does not end at sales, now it is more so handling entire year. How much you can support them. Next year you will not be entertained in the school in case you have not you are not handling the teachers well, you are not training the teachers well, offline, online, both. You are not giving to these schools the opportunity to have offline experiences of the content, because every time internet will not be available to them.
Absolutely.
So our work doesn't end when the book is made, because we have to put layers of technology. Our work doesn't finish at sales. And affordability is the deciding criteria in the end. we don't want to pay more for the technology.
Yeah.
That will remain.
Good, ma'am. Thank you very much. I think the schools should make you the ambassador for them. What do they really require? So the message, Naveenji, is sales and then service, probably the combination. And also one answer to your question lies in Mr. Vikrant Mathur's presentation. How the publication industry is evolving and how it is still retaining its core values, and how is it that a particular fiction or non-fiction genre in one language is being equally popular in another language there. So what is there in that content? So I think that is something that we can think of. Now, sir, there is no question actually, but in the beginning you said that why am I here? But I think NCERT is also a publisher. They publish a lot of books. And these publishers, I think they should have asked it, but I'm asking on their behalf. There is always a controversy between why you are having private publishers' books. You should have only NCERT book. Government insists it. Do you think really it is fair that government should say, no, you only prescribe NCERT book and not the private schools books?
I think for the last 25 years or so, I have been very clear about it. NCERT has a role, a very significant role. We have to prepare books that would give an idea to various federating states, boards, that this is the level to which your child must be brought. We should never insist from NCERT that you use only NCERT books. No, that is not our mandate. And we used to write that the local element of the curriculum must be brought in the books, and that is why NCERT used to prepare textbook writers, the question makers, evaluators in states. Therefore, there should be no conflict between the NCERT and the private publications. It has to be there. There should be no controversy. And if NCERT's production quality is good, if that is done after consulting publishers, NCERT can compete very well with the private publishers. And they have. Because when I was there, some publishers did tell me, आपने हमारे business को कम किया है because our sales got more than 2.5 times more. Right? And, but that was a simple thing, that a few things. So NCERT's role has to be understood. We don't want every child to read the same thing, but he wants to remain him at the same level. You can have any different, that can be done and this should be done.
Thank you, sir. So now we will have the closing remarks. 1 minute, you would like to say something which you have missed.
Like I say, the technology is very, very important nowadays, as said. And I will answer that question also. Like when I said, like whether the teacher, you have asked, like whether that one question, like it is good or bad when the teacher is independently. Recently, I was in Bangalore and I just saw, I think many of you must have read about the robot teachers.
Yeah.
The teacher robot, that has also come up. One thing which is very, very important nowadays, the quality of good teachers that's missing, slowly. That's the one biggest problem I think the society is facing. So basically what happens, when with this use of this technology, certain teachers, they can empower themselves, and maybe the certain content which everybody cannot teach, and then if a good teacher has taught and that's a recording and that can be shown, so that is a big help to the society and then to this thing. This is a very, very important thing where this technology plays a very important role, and then like the content and all those things which are being provided, they will be of big use in the education industry nowadays.
Thank you. Ma'am, your concluding remarks, 1 minute.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll close now. Ji.
Sure. Well, we were the ones to bring the technology of the idea of technology in everyone's mind when we started writing about it, when we started making research papers on it, or when we started making books on it. So now we were the ones to give birth of this idea to education also. So it's now our responsibility to fire it with caution that we are using it for positive results, whether we use AR, VR, XR, MR, or whether we are on any platform, an iPad or tablet or desktop or anywhere, or we are in an offline space. So we have a huge responsibility on shoulders to use this tool to turn out better students, better individuals, to make India a better nation to live in, and that is our prerogative, whether it is NEP, whether it is government, and whether it is us. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Sir, your concluding remarks.
The internet will not be available all the time. Chanakya has written that if Vidya is in books and the money is in somebody else's hand, they don't help you. Therefore, focus on memory should not be given up.
Absolutely.
I'm not talking of rote memory and other things, but yes, memory will remain important for the human beings, and that is one aspect we should not give up. Similarly, we should also remember that human beings shall need other human beings. You will have to establish your contacts, you will have to remain in touch, you will have to maintain relationships at various stages, and technology should only be taken as a help, not as something which controls our homes, houses, behavior, and interaction with others. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. And what you said, only few weeks, I think not even a week, we had the global shutdown of Microsoft and all flights were disturbed and all that. So I think what you have said is a reality. So thank you very much, Akhilesh ji, Monica ji, and Professor Rajput. I think this panel is unequivocal stand of the panel is that technology has its role. There is no doubt about it. But the human angle should not be ignored. And therefore, I think the best way is, Naveen ji, you continue to organize such forums where a very healthy and continued dialogue between you and the policymakers and the practitioners can continue to evolve new practices. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah.
So we are interested in having a session with the schools.
Okay,
Where the students can come, we can have a session, where the teachers can
absolutely.
where even the owners, the managements can come, and even the educationists can come. So we can
Thank
have a
you.
session.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank
And I would like to thank all our panelists and our moderator for such a brilliant and an insightful session, for making this conference so enriching. And now I would like to invite on stage Mr. Naveen Gupta, our president of FIP, to kindly felicitate our moderator for this session, Dr. Ashok Pandey. Can we all give a great round of applause, please? Professor J.S. Rajput. Miss Monica Malhotra Kandhari. Can we all give a great round of applause, please? And Mr. Akhilesh Chaturvedi.